You want to talk about Hebrew marriages, as far as Hebrew awakened marriages. Praise Yahuwah. I don't know about in the churches and all that because I'm not there, but amongst awakened Hebrews, there is an all-out assault on marriages like I've never seen. And it is something else. And so, but we have to understand why that is. And we have to understand why that is, because when our marriages and our families, get it right, then that's when we as a nation are going to start getting it right. And see, Hashatan knows this. That's why he walks about as a roaring lion, seeking whom he may devour. He wants to devour individuals. He also wants to devour marriages. Praise Yahuwah. And if he can do that, he can devour families. And if he can devour families, then he can keep the nation from coming back together. Praise Yahuwah. Now, Jeremiah 50, I'm going to start in verse 1. It says, the word that Yahuwah spoke concerning Babel, concerning the land of the Castites, by Yirmiyahu the Nabi, declare among the nations, and let it be heard, and lift up a banner, let it be heard, and do not conceal it. Say, Babel shall be taken, Bel shall be put to shame, Merodach shall be broken, her images shall be put to shame, her idols shall be broken. For a nation shall come up against her from the north, which shall make her land waste, and none shall dwell in it. They shall flee, they shall go, both man and beast. In those days, now let me stop here. Now, the conditions that are being laid out before us are conditions that were not fulfilled back when ancient Babylon was taken by the Medes and the Persians. They were taken from the east. They were not taken from the north. Praise Yahuwah. And their land was not made desolate. The Medes and the Persians just merely took over their land and dwelt in it. This destruction of Babylon is going to be a total destruction where their land is going to be laid waste like Sodom and Gomorrah. So we know this is a future destruction of Babylon. This isn't talking about the Babylon of ancient times. So in this future Babylon, look at what's going on here. Verse 4. In those days and at that time, declares Yahuwah, the children of Yashraal shall come, they and the children of Yahudah together, weeping as they come, and seek Yahuwah their Elohim. They shall ask the way to Sion, their faces toward it. Come and let us join ourselves to Yahuwah in an everlasting covenant, never to be forgotten. Praise Yahuwah. So they're coming together, weeping, broken. Praise Yahuwah, seeking Yah, but being reconciled to one another as well. Praise Yahuwah. Now verse 6, my people have been wandering sheep, their shepherds have led them astray, turning them away on the mountains. They have gone from mountain to hill, they have forgotten their resting place. All who have found them devoured them, and their adversaries have said, we are not guilty, because they have sinned against Yahuwah, the home of righteousness, and the expectation of their fathers, Yahuwah. Praise Yahuwah. So we've been wandering sheep. Praise Yah. And it said, their shepherds have led them astray. And that's another thing we're known for amongst the other nations, is our religious leaders and the exploitation that takes place. Praise Yahuwah. It's so common in these so-called black churches, where you have the preacher and he's got this fine-looking car and fine-looking house, but the congregants, they don't have cars and houses that reflect what the preacher has and whatnot. And they're always asking all kind of money from the people, and of course they have their visiting preacher friends come, and so they'll take up a second, third, and fourth offering, tell the people dig deeper, but they don't help the people. They don't teach the people how to better themselves financially. Praise Yah. So you have people being told that they're going to be blessed for giving to the preacher, and 20, 30 years later, they're in the same financial state. Praise Yah. And so it's the shepherds that are leading the people astray. Praise Yah. Because, it's the shepherds that should be turning Yashraal back to Torah. But that's not what's happening. The Yashraal is being taken advantage of by their own shepherds. And so what happens is, it said that their shepherds have led them astray, turning them the way on the mountains. See, a lot of people see that stuff's phony. They see that it's fake. They see that it's phony. They see that it's not of Yah, and it turns them away from the churches. It turns them away, and so they get out there in the world, going from mountain to hill, looking for truth in all the wrong places. People running to Nation of Islam and People running to Afrocentrism, Pan-Africanism, Egyptology, and whatnot. People running to just other religions and just looking for truth. They're going from mountain to hill. People looking for political answers, putting their trust in the Democratic Party and the liberals and all these people that are making all these promises and doing great things for us. Praise Yah. But what's happening is we're being devoured. We're being devoured. We're being used by these people. Praise Yah, that constantly dangle a carrot on a string before us. Praise Yah, and we're just forever chasing it and never really getting anything. And so Yah said that this would happen. But in the midst of this happening, that the children of Yashar'al and the children of Yahudah are going to come together. Praise Yah, weeping as they come, and they're going to seek Yahuwah, their Elohim. Praise Yahuwah. Now turn to Yeshayahu. Turn to Isaiah. Isaiah chapter 10. Isaiah 11, verse 10. We're going to start in verse 10 of Isaiah 11. Yeshayahu, Isaiah 11, we're going to start in verse 10. We're going to read through 14. It says, "And in that day there shall be a root of Yeshai." This is going to be in the same time period as the children of Yahudah, children of Yashar'al coming together, seeking Yahuwah. It's going to be in the end time here. See, I've been in end time ministries, praise Yah, but in these end time ministries, there's always an emphasis on the plagues that were going to be poured out and the wrath of Yah and just how crazy it's going to be and martial law. But there wasn't an emphasis on Yashar'al, praise Yahuwah, and Yahudah coming together. Praise Yah, and being reconciled not just to Yahuwah but to one another. We weren't taught about that in these end time churches, but that is the key event that's going to take place in the end time. And it went right over our head in these so-called end time ministries. Praise Yah. So what's going on here in chapter 11 of Yeshayahu, Isaiah? It's the same thing. Same time period as Jeremiah 50. And it said, and in that day there shall be a root of Yeshai, root of Jesse, standing as a banner to the people. Unto him the Gentiles shall seek, and his rest shall be esteemed. And it shall be in that day that Yahuwah puts his hand again a second time to recover the remnant of his people who are left from Ashur and from Mitzrayim and from Pathros and from Cush and from Elam and from Shinar and from Hamath and from the islands of the sea. And he shall raise a banner for the nations and gather the outcasts of Yashar'al and assemble the dispersed of Yahudah from the four corners of the earth. Now listen to this. It said, in the envy, verse 13, "In the envy of Ephraim shall turn aside, and the adversaries of Yahudah be cut off. Ephraim shall not envy Yahudah, and Yahudah not trouble Ephraim. But they shall fly down upon the shoulders of the Pelishites," or the Philistines, "toward the west. Together they plunder the people of the east, their hands stretching forth on Edom and Moab, and the children of Ammon shall be subject unto them." Praise Yah. So, interesting. There's going to be a strife that is even between Yashar'al and Yahudah that's going to be healed. Praise Yah. Now, a lot of us can't fully understand or fully appreciate what's being said here because we really don't know who's who today. With the 12 tribes. So it's really hard to piece this together. It'll be more apparent around the time that it happens. Praise Yah. But there is a division amongst the 12 tribes. Praise Yahuwah. And what we're going to see in the next passage is that that division is purposeful. This was something that Yah brought about because of our disobedience. Hallelujah. So turn to Ezekiel chapter 37. Ezekiel 37, we are going to start in verse 15. We're talking about prophecy now. We're talking about the Hebrew prophets foretelling the unification of our people, the reconciliation of our people, not just with Yah himself, but with one another. Praise Yahuwah, doing what Yahushua taught, and that is to love one another. Now, verse 15, Ezekiel 37, it says, "And the word of Yahuwah came to me, saying, And you, son of man, take a stick for yourself, and ride on it, for Yahudah and for the children of Yashar'al his companions. Then take another stick and ride on it for Yosef, the stick of Ephraim, and for all the house of Yashraal his companions. Then bring them together for yourself into one stick, and they shall become one in your hand. And when the children of your people speak to you, saying, Won't you show us what you mean by these? Say to them, Thus said the Adon Yahuwah, See, I am taking the stick of Yosef, which is in the hand of Ephraim, and the tribes of Yashraal his companions, and I shall give them unto him with the stick of Yehuda, and make them one stick, and they shall be one in my hand. And the sticks on which you write shall be in your hand before their eyes. Speak to them, Thus said the Adon Yahuwah, See, I am taking the children of Yashraal from among the Gentiles wherever they have gone, and shall gather them from all around, and I shall bring them into their land, and I shall make them one nation in the land on the mountains of Yashraal, and one sovereign shall be sovereign over them all, and let them no longer be two nations, and let them no longer be divided into two reigns, and they shall no longer defile themselves with their idols, nor with their filthiness, nor with any of their transgressions, and I shall save them from all their dwelling places in which they have sinned, and I shall cleanse them, and they shall be my people, and I be their Elohim. While Daud my servant is sovereign over them, and they shall all have one shepherd, and walk in my right rulings, and guard my laws, and shall do them. And they shall dwell in the land that I have given to Yaakov my servant, where your fathers dwelt. And they shall dwell in it, they and their children's children forever, and my servant Daud be their prince forever. And I shall make a covenant of peace with them, an everlasting covenant it is with them, and I shall place them and increase them, and shall place my mikdash in their midst forever. And my dwelling place shall be over them, and I shall be their Elohim, and they shall be my people. And the Gentiles shall know that I, Yahuwah, am making Yashraal Kodesh, when my mikdash is in their midst forever. So the joining of the two sticks, praise Yahuwah, Yashraal and Yehuda, being reconciled, being brought back together. But see, in order for us to be brought back together as two separate nations, that even within the nations, we need to be brought back together. Yehuda needs to be brought back together with one another. Yashraal needs to be brought back together with one another, and then we all can be brought back together as one. But it starts with following the teachings of Yahusha and the renewed command that he gave, that we love one another. Now, how do we do that? Well, I mean, he goes into detail about how our walk is to be before him, that if any man come to me, that let him deny himself, take up his stake daily, and follow me. Whosoever shall save his life shall lose it. Whosoever shall lose his life for my sake, the same shall save it. Praise Yahuwah. That's how we do it. I mean, it's going to take a lot of self-denial. It's going to take a lot of suffering in the flesh. Praise Yah, because Kepha said that he that suffers in the flesh, that he ceases from sin, that he no longer should live his life in the flesh to the lusts of men, but to the will of Yah. Praise Yahuwah. And see, that's wisdom. You know, that's wisdom, because this love that we are to have for one another, this isn't a Western Greco-Roman love. This isn't a touchy-feely emotional love, but this is a love, just like Yochanan said, John, he said that let us not love in word and in tongue, but let us love in deed and in truth. Praise Yahuwah, a love that is backed up by action. Praise Yahuwah. Let me give you an example of what I'm talking about. Let me give you an example of loving one another in deed and in truth, whether we like one another or not. Praise Yahuwah. He didn't say like one another. He said love one another. Praise Yahuwah. So you got to love people you don't like. Now, Exodus 23. I want to show you something. I want to show you an example of how we're commanded to love people we don't like. Exodus 23 and verses 4 and 5. When you meet your enemy's ox or his donkey going astray, you shall certainly return it to him. When you see the donkey of him who hates you lying under its burden, you shall refrain from leaving it to him. You shall certainly help him. Praise Yahuwah. There it is. Loving people that you don't like. Praise Yahuwah. But it takes self-denial. It takes humility. It takes all these other things that Yahusha taught. Praise Yahuwah. Because see, Yahusha, that when you look at his teachings, that they go down into the marrow of the bone. His teachings deal with the individual, dealing with us individually, dealing with us spiritually, praise Yahuwah, so we can get ourselves right, praise Yahuwah. And when we get ourselves right, we get our relationships with one another right, and then we as a nation can get right. But it starts with us, praise Yahuwah. It starts with us as individuals. And this is the kind of thing that Yahusha laid out before us, praise Yahuwah. So we see the joining of the sticks, and we have to understand that Yah was the one that divided the sticks in the first place. Praise Yah. He divided the sticks in the first place, and the enmity, the division, this is all part of the curses. Praise Yah. We read in Devarim chapter 28. Praise Yah. It's all part of the curses. Praise Yah. But the beautiful thing is, brothers and sisters, the beautiful thing is that when we begin to turn back to Yah, when we begin to hear His voice, be obedient to Him, Yah's going to lift that. Yah's going to remove that. Praise Yahuwah. And it's truly going to be a supernatural work, not just in the hearts of individuals, but collectively. It's going to be a supernatural work that's going to be able to be seen and to be noticed amongst the nations. Praise Yahuwah. And I do believe that. I do believe that before we get out of here, that Yah is going to manifest Himself in His people, in us, in Yashra'al and Yahudah, praise Yahuwah, in such a way that people are going to take note of not just our set apartness and our dedication to Yah, but our love for one another, our dedication to one another, and how we deal with one another, just in how we love one another. There's going to be that Torah witness before all the nations. Turn to 39, same book, Ezekiel 39. I want to show you something. Ezekiel 39. In Ezekiel 39, this is something else that's going to take place in the end time. Something else that wasn't really emphasized in these end time ministries I was in. Now, this is after the great slaughtering of all these armies that came against Yashra'al, and they're being sacrificed unto these animals and whatnot that feast on them. And I'm going to start in verse 21, chapter 39 of Ezekiel. And I shall place my esteem among the Gentiles, and all the Gentiles shall see my judgment, which I have executed, my hand, which I have laid on them. And the house of Yashra'al shall know that I am Yahuwah their Elohim from that day onward. And the Gentiles shall know that the house of Yashra'al went into exile for their wickedness, because they have trespassed against me. So I hid my face from them, and I gave them into the hand of their adversaries, and they all fell by the sword. According to their uncleanness and according to their transgressions, I have dealt with them and hidden my face from them. Therefore, thus said the Adon Yahuwah, now I am going to bring back the captives of Yaakov, and I shall have compassion on all the house of Yashra'al, and shall be jealous for my Kodesh name. And they shall have borne their shame and all their trespass they committed against me, when they dwell safely in their own land, with none to make them afraid. When I have brought them back from the peoples, and gathered them out of the lands of their enemies, and I shall be kadosh in them before the eyes of many Gentiles. And they shall know that I am Yahuwah their Elohim, who sent them into exile among the Gentiles, and then gathered them back to their own land, and left none of them behind. And no longer do I hide my face from them, for I shall have poured out my Ruach on the house of Yashra'al, declares the Adon Yahuwah. Praise Yahuwah. But I want to point out in verse 27, he says, and I shall be kadosh in them before the eyes of many Gentiles. Now, if you look at other passages that talk about that, it makes it clear that this is a work that's going to take place even before we're taken out of those nations. Praise Yahuwah. That there's going to be a final witness before the Gentile nations, before we leave, before the second Exodus, before we're brought all the way out, Yah's going to demonstrate his power, his esteem, even through us. There's going to be something that they are going to see in us that's going to show them beyond any shadow of a doubt, Yah is with these people. Praise Yah. I mean, doesn't it talk about 7 men of the languages of the nation shall take hold of the tzitzit, take hold of the tassel of a man, a Yahudi. Say, come, let us go with you, for we hear Elohim is with you. Praise Yahuwah. And so, brothers and sisters, that this is, as I said, the purpose of this lesson is to really magnify this aspect of the restoration. Praise Yahuwah, because I don't believe it's emphasized enough, this particular aspect. I believe other aspects of the restoration are emphasized and even overemphasized, even at the expense of this right here. Praise Yahuwah. But at this particular time, I believe that this is the most important. Praise Yahuwah. I believe that this is the most important, and this is something that can really be a powerful witness. A powerful witness just to the nations, praise Yahuwah, and even to unawakened Hebrews. Just a powerful witness that they see us, they see how we love one another, praise Yahuwah. Because unawakened Hebrews, they need a true witness. They need a true witness of true Israelites that are being awakened, that are returning to Torah, that are being reconciled to Yah, reconciled to one another, because they're getting a bad witness through the media. Praise Yahuwah. Media wants to just destroy our image, our testimony before people. Praise Yah, and basically scare our unawakened brothers and sisters away from coming into this truth. Praise Yahuwah. But one thing I do praise Yah for is that there are more and more people, more and more brothers and sisters that are sound-minded, that are full of the Ruach HaKodesh, led of the Ruach HaKodesh, praise Yahuwah, that are coming into this truth. Praise Yah. This is no longer just a street religion. Praise Yah, that you could just relegate to the camps and say that represents everybody. No, it does not. Maybe about 30, 40 years ago, but not today. And especially with the onset of the internet, that just like Yah said, many are running to and fro, and knowledge is being increased. Praise Yahuwah. And so, brothers and sisters, let us love one another. Praise Yah. And as I said, it starts with individuals, starts with families, starts with marriages, husbands and wives. Praise Yahuwah. I saw a beautiful post on social media regarding the subject of the Hebrew man and the Hebrew woman. That this Hebrew brother, he posted and said that, we need to fight our way back to one another. And I thought that was profound. I thought that was beautiful, because that's the truth. Praise Yah. It's not just a matter of just get, ooey gooey feelings toward one another and that's going to do it. No. This is going to be a fight. To reconcile the Hebrew man and the Hebrew woman, this is going to be a fight. And I want y'all to be on the lookout, because that I really want to bring a teaching series out about this very thing that I'm talking to you about. Praise Yahuwah, about fighting for your marriage. Praise Yahuwah, because when it comes to our marriages, and like I said, I have just seen an onslaught of Hashatan against Hebrew marriages. Praise Yah. I've seen that over the years. But when it comes to our marriages, we have 3 main things that we're up against. Praise Yah. We're up against the world, we're up against the flesh, and we're up against the devil. Praise Yahuwah. And I want to break that down to you all in a teaching series sometime. I don't have time right now. Praise Yahuwah. But just break down specifically what I'm talking about, because we need to know what we're up against, and we need to be prepared. Praise Yah, so that we can have the victory. And we will have the victory, because the scripture says that we will. Hallelujah. So brothers and sisters, I'm going to wrap that up. Let's love one another. Let's deny ourselves, take up our stake, follow Yahushua, follow everything he taught. Praise Yahuwah. Because everything he taught was to reconcile us back to Torah, brothers and sisters. Praise Yahuwah. And so be on the lookout for that teaching series, praise Yah, about fighting for our marriages. And so with that, I will say, Shalom.